Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the KimUnity Solutions podcast, the only podcast that's inspiring leadership and humanity within and beyond the workplace. What does that mean? What does that mean, really? That means that I'm trying to bring light that we are all people, regardless of what room we're in, what office setting, what workplace. We are all people. And so we should all be treated as such, and to extend that grace and that understanding and to meet people where they are, and how it all is about communication, how we communicate with each other, leadership and humanity. Leadership is really communication. It's giving direction. It is showing people rather than just telling them. We communicate with more than our words. So I really want you just to really understand what I mean with that intro. Just wanted to get that out there. But yes, I am so glad to be with you all again for another week. Today, I wanted to talk about something that hit me. It's hit me several times, but again, over the past maybe week or two. And that is not being so quick to react. Today, I want to talk about out of line, out of character. Out of line, out of character. Have you ever maybe worked with someone or been friends with someone, and this one time, this one day, or this series of days, they've just been off? Their tone, their demeanor, their attitude, they've just been off. They haven't been the same. And if we respond too quickly, we'll get upset because maybe they're snappy, or they're looking at you funny when you ask a question. They're taking things more personal than what they used to take it. How are you responding in those moments? What are you communicating to them? We know what they're communicating to us. They are upset. They are uptight. They are anxious. They are nervous or on edge. But how are we responding to them in those moments? Are we exaggerating? Are we escalating? Or are we really getting curious? In those moments, it is so important to get curious. When you know how someone usually is or how they usually react, and for some reason they're off, get curious about it. You can ask a question, but in that moment, it may not be the right time. Are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Just something that shows them that you are there and that you notice that something's different. What happened to me was I asked a question and it just triggered them. It was almost to the point of, why would you even ask me that? The angle that they were thinking I was coming at was something totally different. I was asking for a totally different reason. But what I did was I just got quiet. And then later I said, I was asking because of this. But even during that pause, I understood that they weren't upset at my question. It was something else that was stirring in their spirit, something else that was stirring in their mind, something else that they were focused on, that they were frustrated with. It wasn't me. It's important to make sure we're not taking it personal. Their response rarely has something to do with us. There's something else underlying, underneath. And how we respond determines which way the the communication will go, which direction. I remember, and I'll never forget, there's some conversations that I won't forget. And I remember speaking to my husband, and we are talking about attitudes and medication. And he was talking, and he said, um, he remembered when his grandmother started getting sick and she started getting on this medication, and the medication would just make her so angry. And I never really thought about that. I know how bad medication can be, don't get me wrong, but I never thought about the attitude or the demeanor or the posture of people. And so ever since that moment, that was years ago, I've always kept that in the back of my mind. Like, I wonder if that is medically related. And that's not the only reason. I'm not sure if the end result was switching the medication or maybe the quantity, how much he had to take, but he knew that something had to change. We all go through so much. And sometimes we don't realize we're taking it out on other people. That's why it's so important to just leave grace, extend grace, and leave space, and not to take everything so personally or be judgmental, because that's what escalates it. That's what prolongs it. That's what impacts relationships further down the line. That is the detriment of many relationships. As I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking, okay, and I wrote down some things. Why is it, or what could someone be going through that has them acting that way and not wanting to talk about it? So, number one, I said medication. The second is they just have so much on their mind. They're thinking about something totally different, something that's heavier. It has a heavier burden. There's heavier consequences. And here you come strolling along asking about something that is minute compared to what they're dealing with on this other side. Okay, so that's one reason. The other is that they don't want to bring you down. They'd rather just suffer with it. They'd rather not tell you and just deal with it because they don't want to bring you down. Maybe they know you just got a promotion, or you just got accepted into school, or you have so much of this other stuff good going on that they don't want to bring you down with whatever they're going through. Now is not a good time, and they're thinking about you. Have you ever thought about that? And then what do you say about that? Because most of the times, especially when you're friends, when you're true friends, you want the other person to tell you everything that's going on. But are there parameters? Are there times when no, don't tell me? If I am on cloud nine, don't tell me this. Are you having these kinds of conversations with your friends? Are there boundaries? Are there known boundaries? Because we can make boundaries of what we like and dislike and will not tolerate, but are we communicating it before it gets to that level? And I'm just going down this line of, because I've done that before. I've done that before. I know that. So my daughter, and I just told her recently that, hey, you know, this before she found out she got accepted to her college, I found out that I was accepted into this other thing. And before I had a chance to tell her, she told me about what she was excited for. This is not friendship. This is family. This is blood. This is parent-child relationship. But I didn't want to distract anything from what she was celebrating. And that's minimal. Maybe you could say that's expected. That's the right thing. If I was to tell my daughter, she would say, you didn't have to do that. But it's something we're choosing on our own. We are creating these own boundaries and thresholds. And so we end up withholding information, withholding emotion, and just placing that extra burden. What are you not communicating? What is it that you live by that no one else knows? And how is it impacting those around you? Maybe it's bad timing. Maybe it's something that they are still processing. That is why they're uptight. That is why they are on the edge, right? They're still processing, or they don't want to talk about it, or they don't believe that you can relate to it. There's so many different things. Out of line, out of character. These are the times when our friendships, our bond should get stronger. We shouldn't become more distant. We can step back, but not become so distant that we leave them alone, that we think, oh, they don't want to be bothered with us. We let them know that, hey, I'm here if you need me. Okay? Or still doing what you do, but with a longer arm. Maybe it's something where they know that if they go there, if they explain everything to you, that they're not going to be able to make it to their next ex. It's not just about timing. It's about, I have things over here that I have to complete. And if I break down right now, I'm not going to be able to. Because sometimes you have to block out things. You have to block it out. Is it healthy? I'm not saying it is. I'm not telling you to block it out. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I am talking about real life experiences. And I'm wondering if you can relate. Please put it in the comment if you can relate to any of this. You can be going through something or have something so much on your mind, or something that you have to deal with. You have to find a solution. You have to continue to pray about, but also handle this other stuff over here. You can't just let it drop. It's not a balance. It's not a balance. It's a focus. It's priorities. It's, I can't right now. When they say I can't deal, it's a not right now. Let me finish this over here. And as we hear about people getting laid off, as we hear about people getting sick, as we hear about the power going out, and I can't remember what state, I haven't been watching the news, but and as we hear about the wars, as we hear about the sailors, as we hear about debt, as we hear about students in housing, as we hear about the hangings, as we hear about all this stuff that I never really talk about, because I'm more about action. People have so much going on, and it is so important to just extend grace. As we hear about the water situation in Puerto Rico, as we hear about Nolan Wells, as we hear about all of this, and we still have to function, we still have to go into work, we still have to continue our day-to-day activities. Our emotions are everywhere. As we are dealing with loved ones, as we are dealing with parents, as we are dealing with spouses, our own health issues, trying to get healthy, concerned about our food and it being real or not. I bit into, it was a good sandwich, But when I bit into this sandwich, just the texture of it, when I bit through it and I looked at it, it was just like layers of meat. And what do? Do you put it down? Do you keep eating? Okay. Honestly, I kept eating it, but I was upset. if that matters. I was upset. Yes, you need to start a garden. Yes, you need to source your own foods. Yes, you need to go to the farmer's market. Yes, you need to establish a neighborhood co-op, basically. All of this we have to think about and still continue our day-to-day. So I'm just saying to be slow to respond. Extend grace, give people some space. If you know that they are out of character, if you know that how they responded or how they reacted is out of line for them, something is probably going on. Don't drop them at that moment. Don't drop them. They're in a delicate stage. Let it cool off. And I'm thinking, when I said delicate and all that, I'm thinking of boiled eggs because I eat boiled eggs. But it's delicate. And if you touch it, as soon as you pour the water off, they're still hot. So you have to let it cool. But if you run water in that pot, you know what happens when you, depending on what kind of pot you're using, if it goes from real hot and then you put cold on it, it begins to warp. So that's why when you put it on the stove, it's no longer flat. It's no longer flat. And that's how we are as humans sometimes. If we're hot, don't just douse us with cold water. Sometimes it has to be gradual. You have to do things with care, with love, with curiosity, with concern. You have to care. And if you don't, maybe you really didn't care to begin with. This message is for everyone. This message is for those in the workplace. This is for friends and family and people just out and about. Extend that grace. Extend empathy. Have compassion, because it could be you. You have probably been that same person and don't even realize it. Someone has given you grace and you don't even realize it. You have snapped at someone. You have snapped at your kids because of something that happened at the workplace. You have snapped at your spouse because of something that happened at the bank. And they just wait for you to cool off a little bit. You say, oh, I didn't even realize I did that. Or I had something else on my mind. Out of line, out of character. Is that you? Is it someone that you know? Now is not the time to disassociate. Space, yes. Disassociate, no. And again, it's important for us not to take it personally. That is my reflection for the week. I am your host, Kim the SME. As always, I'm only speaking from my experiences. I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed week. Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing. Bye-bye.